Algebra 1. Good to see you guys. So this will be the last video for this chapter. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be the last video in terms of math, period. I will still, of course, be putting out a review video, maybe 2 review videos for this chapter. But when it comes to the sections in this chapter, we're ending with section 5, okay? I wrote a little note up here. We are skipping 11.6. That would have been the last section, but instead we're cutting it off at section 5. So, just to make sure you understand, not the last math video in general, we're just ending chapter 11 at section 5, all right? So the next video I put out will be a review video. We're not going to have a section 6 homework assignment. Won't worry about that, won't be on the test, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so section 5, we are looking at solving rational equations, okay? And a little note up here, don't know if you can still see it, always follow along in the book during my videos. Make sure that you guys are with me, you're tracking with me. I'll move off to the side here, pause the video, copy down all these notes, get that stuff on a piece of paper. Okay, let's hit it. Here we go. All right, so remember, if you have one fraction that equals one fraction, then the method we're going to use is cross multiplication. So right here, cross multiplication, okay? That's going to help us simplify the problem. That's going to get us to our solution so we can solve the problem. And here's a little example of what I mean. Here's one fraction right here, okay? You have a 2/3 x equals 3/4, okay? You're going to see these little dashed lines. Those little dashed lines are just my way of saying, hey, here's how you cross multiply, okay? So we're looking at 3 connecting to 3. 3 times 3 gives us 9. Then on this side right here, we're looking at a 2x connecting to a 4. That's going to give us 8x. 4 times 2 gives us the 8. The x connects right there with it. And what's the final piece to solving this little puzzle is dividing 8 on both sides. That would cross out that 8, and then you'd be left with 9/8 right over there, okay? So that's a basic intro. You have one fraction equaling one other fraction, cross multiply, simplify, solve, okay? This is the same for expressions. And you remember, what I mean by an expression is like x plus 2. That's an expression. 3x minus 4. That's an expression. Whatever you think, basically a coefficient, a variable, a plus or minus, and then a constant, that's going to create your expression, okay? Now, here's the little change. If you have 3 fractions, then you're going to need to find the lowest or least common denominator first, all right? Now, a lot of times what that means is what you're presented with, maybe just put those together, multiply them together, show them next to each other, and that could easily create your lowest common denominator. If that didn't make sense, just stay with me, track with me. That's going to be this example problem right here. It's going to explain what I mean by a 3-fraction expression, simplify, solve. Okay, these first 2 example problems, though, they go with this upper concept here of simply cross multiplying. You have one fraction equaling one fraction, okay? So simple enough. I would recommend putting this in parentheses. The book probably won't do that, but putting it in parentheses lets you know that that is one complete expression. Cannot be separated, x, and 2 cannot be pulled away because that minus sign in between bonds them together. It locks them together. So put it in parentheses. It's a locked-in expression, all right? And we are going to be cross multiplying. Now, this part's the easy part. 5 and 3, that's going to give us 15, all right? Equal sign. Now, don't forget, one of the crosses right here will go on one side of the equal sign. the other cross that we have will go on the other side of the equal sign. Okay? Now, what about this? We have an x needing to be distributed into an expression. So that means this x is going to be multiplied by this x, giving you x squared. And then this x is multiplied by that negative 2, giving you a negative 2x. So you should be looking at now x squared minus 2x equals 15. Remember, 5 times 3 gave us 15. That's one part of the cross. Then put the equal sign and do the other part of the cross. Distribute the x to both parts of the expression, giving you this. Now let's move that 15 over because it does not need to be by itself. When we put it with the other part, we're going to be creating a trinomial. And what do you do with a trinomial? Factor it. All right, so we're now looking at x squared minus 2x minus 15. I believe this will factor. X squared drops down here and here, x and x. These signs in the trinomial will determine the signs that go in our binomial parentheses. They're going to be opposites of each other, okay? Kind of how does that tell you? That negative sign right there tells you. These guys will be opposites. 15 can be created by 5 and 3. Can 5 and 3 make 2? Yes, they can. But they need to make a negative 2. So I got to put the 5 with the negative and the 3 with the positive. Now we're not done yet because these problems will say solve. So you have to solve the parentheses. All right? How do you solve parentheses? By setting them equal to 0. So this one will be negative 3. And this one right here is going to be a positive 5. So negative 3 and positive 5 are the solution for this rational equation. All right, let's move on. Let's do the exact same thing here, okay? I see one fraction equaling one fraction. I'm going to go ahead and put that in parentheses just like I did here. Let's cross multiply. Let's cross multiply. Don't forget that that x will be distributed to both parts. The easy one is the 2 times 7. That's 14. Equal sign. And then the other half, x times x is x squared, and x times 5 plus 5x. Move the 14 over, just like we did here, to create a trinomial. X squared plus 5x minus 14. Double set of parentheses because we could factor this. X and x. That's a minus sign. That's going to tell me that in here, what are my signs going to be? Opposites. Positive, negative. All right, now, factors of 14 that can make 5, 7 and 2. They can make 5, but not just any 5, a positive 5. So we need 7 minus 2. And just like we did over here, we're not done yet. We have to solve the parentheses to get the final solution. This one will be negative 7. This one will be a positive 2. Remember how I get that? By setting them equal to 0. Negative 7 plus 7 would be 0, and 2 minus 2 would also be 0. So there's that one. Okay. So these two examples pretty much go with the top concept. Now the final concept, what if you have 3 fractions? Got to find that lowest common denominator, okay? And I'm looking at an x plus 4 and a 3 and another x plus 4. Can I make 3 become x plus 4? No, you can't do that. Can I make x plus 4 become 3? Same thing, no, you can't do that. So like I explained earlier in the video, basically we're just going to put those two together. Now what does that mean? It literally means you're just going to say, what if you had x plus 4 times 3? Just show them next to each other. That's your common denominator. Now, if that is my common denominator, putting those two guys next to each other, then somehow I need to find a way to eliminate these denominators. Like I want the fractions to disappear. Make it simpler. Simplify it. So here's what you're going to do. First step, like I said, first, what's that least common denominator? It's just putting them next to each other. So if 3 parentheses x plus 4 is my least common denominator, I'm going to multiply all 3 fractions by that common denominator. So let me do that. I'm going to show you right here. We're going to do a 3 parentheses x plus 4. We're going to multiply that by this one. We're going to do it again over here. 3 parentheses x plus 4. We're multiplying it here. And then the final one, a 3 parentheses x plus 4, we're going to multiply by here. All right, so I have 3 common denominators multiplying all 3 fractions. Okay, now why am I doing that? That's the key thing. Why? To eliminate the denominator. Essentially, eliminating a fraction. All right, so if we don't have a denominator, then it doesn't look like a fraction anymore. So I have an x plus 4, that'll cross out with that x plus 4, but what didn't cross out? The 3 and the x. Now what do I do with those? Multiply them together. They will make 3x. This one over here, I see a 3, I see a 3. They can cross out, but again, what's left over? What did I not cross out? X plus 4 and a 1. So x plus 4 times 1 is just x plus 4. All right, last one over here. X plus 4, x plus 4. They will cross each other out. What's left over? Negative 12 and positive 3. What's that going to equal? A negative 36. Okay? All of this up here simplified down just to this. Really, really helpful in first finding the lowest common denominator, multiply all 3 fractions by it, and that denominator will cross itself out. Now, combine like terms. 3x and x is 4x. Let's take this 4, let's move it over. Minus 4. What's that going to give me? A 4x equaling a negative 40. And now we're simply down to 4x equals negative 40. Divide 4 on both sides. And you're looking at x equaling a negative 10. All of this up here simplifies down just to x equals negative 10. All right, guys, that pretty much covers it. So section 5, again, solving rational equations. Watch these videos just again and again, okay? Don't want to put too much of a guilt trip on you, but you have to be watching these videos, all right? You got to watch them all the way through, and if it doesn't make sense, pause it, rewind it, do it again, all right? It's that extra effort and drive that makes such a difference with all of this distance learning, and me, through a computer screen to you. I know I can't make you do it, but you really need to do it, all right? Make sure that effort is as high as you can bring, all right? Love you guys, praying for you guys, miss you guys. All right, see you in the next video.